Standing on the rim of Crater Lake, my eyes trace the curve of the snowfield beneath my feet as it rolls over a precipitous edge into the crater below. I step carefully, curious, and staying well away from the cliff of volcanic rock. This is a place where geologic past and the lively present so viscerally and unbelievably coexist in the same moment. I'm hundreds of feet above the lake, and the impossibly blue sky is reflected in water so clear and deep that reality and reflection are only separated by a thin line of rock on the horizon. This is the first day of my art residency at Crater Lake National Park, and I'm overwhelmed by this view. I also have a hard time reconciling the contrast between the beauty of what I see and the knowledge that I stand on the remnants of a volcanic eruption so explosive it destroyed an entire mountain. I'm often asked, what is it like to be an artist in residence? And this video is an invitation to follow me behind the scenes on the painting adventure and some of the misadventures as I explore this incredible place through paint. It took all day to drive here from my home in Western Washington, and it still feels so surreal to drive past walls of snow as spring just arrives in the lowlands. For most of my life, Crater Lake existed as a landscape of imagination and in the sidebars of science textbooks. I was fascinated by a place where geologic catastrophe led to something so uniquely beautiful that people travel from around the world to see it. And then last year, I had the immense privilege of visiting this place as the National Park's official artist in residence. Here we go! Headed up to Crater Lake, so excited! Woohoo! Alright, it's day one, and there's Crater Lake. I can't believe it. That's amazing. There's so much snow. Except for also not that much snow at all. It's only 30% of normal, so that's kind of crazy. Just out wandering around the start. Just to show how little snow there is. And I'm walking right up to one of the viewpoints. And there's bare dirt right there. That's crazy. Still being very careful because viewpoint, but holy cow. Wow. Would you look at that? Oh my gosh. Wow. As with any new place I visit, I wonder how am I going to paint this expansive landscape? As that wonder tries to quickly slide into hesitancy and uncertainty, I pull out my paints and begin sketching. I work fast, it's cold and windy, and then I watch in shocked amazement as the feathery arms of ice gather the pigment on my page into fractal patterns that imitate lace and leaf. Well, my first attempt at a painting froze, so I probably have to go back down to the house. You can see the ice crystals still in the paint. So I probably have to go back down to the house and get my little bottle of gin. You can see it even better over here. See the little ice chunkies? Really cool, but also very cold. There's the two little paintings. And there's the view! Whew. What a spot to paint though, my goodness. With so little snow, this is a very unusual year at Crater Lake. The snowplows started work on the rim road many weeks earlier than normal, and I can explore much farther into the park with the help of a bike. And as soon as I hop onto said bike, my lungs and heart promptly remind me that at over nearly 7,000 feet, I have to work much harder just to walk, let alone bike, uphill for miles. And as I pedal, the bare black pavement is a ribbon on the landscape, marking the changes happening in the place's climate and snowpack due to our warming world. Oh, I didn't expect to get to see trail signs. Wow, so this is the Rim Trail and the PCT. That's crazy, there's so little snow. There's really 10 feet of snow up here right now. Wow. Look at this. Woo. And I'm just over the moon thrilled that the weather is so nice. It was supposed to be 35-mile-an-hour wind, and it's just, I mean, look at this. Like, it's so still. There's a reflection in the middle of the lake in the caldera, and that's just incredible. It's so sunny, in fact, that I'm in full sun protection mode, so I have my gloves on to protect my hands. I have a buff that will help keep my face out of the sun as much as possible. I have special glasses on that are made for snow and glacier travel that will help keep a lot more of the light out of my eyes because I was kind of squinting even with a normal sunglass. So I am equipped for the sun and just so happy it's also warm. Like, It's almost warm enough I might not need this extra sweater on. Which is crazy considering this morning my paint was literally freezing to my page. So this is such a welcome and wonderful change, and I'm just so happy to be here, and I can't wait to get painting. Over here is where we'll be painting, and then up there is the Watchman Peak with a watchtower up there, and I'm just so excited to be here. I'm hanging out behind this wall. There's the interpretive signage out here because I know that if I'm behind the barricade for the summer, then I'm safe from the cornices, which you can see over off to my left. So a cornice is formed by wind-blown snow, and it can be super dangerous to step near the edge of that thing because you never know how undercut that can be. So sometimes it can be undercut a couple inches, and sometimes it can be like a 30-foot cornice sticking out from the middle of the slope. So we're staying well away from that edge, and I'm trying to figure out what to paint, and there's just so many cool things. And I'm just so happy to be here, but it's also pretty unusual too to be here. It's such a low snow year, and to really, kind of sit with the realization that these landscapes as they once were, aren't really like that anymore necessarily. There is no normal anymore with climate change. Wow, this is so cool. This topography is just so different. It's like unbelievable. I almost can't believe what I'm looking at sometimes with this place. It's just such a different landscape in so many ways. It's incredible. First of all, how wonderful that my paint is not freezing on me. This morning I could not figure out for a minute what the heck was happening when my paint got all like chunky, and my brain was like, what's happening? Only just to realize moments later that, oh, of course, like it's, that is my paint freezing inside of my palette and on. And if I want some natural variation to be happening, so I want there to be areas of darker shadow and areas of lighter shadow, because that will again help kind of reinforce the three-dimensionality, so I can kind of drop in some more fresh color along that upper edge if I want to. Then this shadow band kind of goes like this, wraps down through this zone with the rocks. I'm so glad the wind died down, so that way I'm able to film some close-ups. Earlier it was just too windy, so the phone as my backup camera wasn't working at all. So now I can come back in here when I have some stark shapes like that. Just come right in here. Oh, there's some snowflakes on my... Come on. Just come in right in here and blend in the bottom of those trees, and voila. Now we have a nice kind of beautiful shape. What I'm going to do now is just kind of be a little bit more bold and say, okay, I'm going to get some clean water and just kind of start going in here and just kind of start blending this in and just trying to kind of get those patterns in. I can go back to that darker blue. I can say, okay, there was some darker blue stuff in here using little vertical brush strokes. And then I'll just kind of come back in here. There's some more there, there's some more there. So I really do want this to be nice and diffuse and soft. I don't want it to be a perfect reflection, and my brain was kind of trying to go there, so that was actually a really happy accident because now it can't be a perfect reflection anymore. As I near the end of this painting, I try to pack up quickly. It is getting cold fast as the blue shadows stretch closer from the peaks around me, and both my legs are completely asleep, and I know I will need some time to bring feeling and warmth back to my toes. The painting I just finished is one of my favorites of the year. I love the balance of precision, experimentation, and surrender that it embodies. My paints, helped by the sun and the wind, had their own ideas today about how a reflection should be painted, and I feel like I learned so much by working with the conditions instead of against them. Now, at the end of the day, I do what I always do during an art residency. I tape the 3 paintings onto the wall and enjoy the beginning of an evolving constellation of stories, memories, and conversations with this place. By the next morning, the sun is gone and a storm looms on the forecast horizon. Well, it's not as nice of weather. Oh, look at this crow. Wee, a raven. There he goes. Wow, very cool. He's having trouble in the wind too. Oh man. Weather's not as good today, that's for sure. Whew. I hurry out to paint, but not too early. It's cold and all of the melted snow from the day before has turned into ice across every single road. As I bike around the park and explore, my paintings are dictated by the cold as I seek out places to paint out of the wind. I find myself enchanted by the randomly blue colors of snow piled on the side of the road by the snowplows, and by the simple patterns of trees and rock melting out of the white snowdrifts. In the afternoon, the gathering clouds have closed out all the different gaps of light in the sky above me, and the colors of the landscape have shifted from innumerable blues to velvety grays, and I find myself mixing them with unusual combinations of colors, pinks and blues and teals and unusual greens. I experiment and have fun and play. I am so happy to finish my painting just as the temperature begins to drop below freezing and everything in my palette ices over. Well, it's my third day and winter decided to hit reset. Hello, snow! Shoveled out my walkway. The plow has already been through once today. This is crazy. There's so much snow! Look at all of that. Wow, what a reset button on winter. Amazing. Well, it snowed just a little bit. You can see how much. That's really deep. And then look at the car. If I go back to this side, you can see how much snow we have. Look at that. That is more than a foot. It is really coming down still. It's crazy. It's very windy too. With so much snow, we got over 2 feet in just the day alone, the entire national park closed down. I was amazed at the quick return of winter and the beautiful quiet. So I happily went for a little walk and then spent the rest of the day painting inside with a cozy sweater listening to the wind. With an ongoing drought in this region, a late-season snowstorm was a welcome change. It also shifted my experience of this place. Instead of sunny drives to the crater rim, I watched huge snowplows rumble by and sketched indoors while flurries of powdery snow swirled by my window. And for a few days, I had to don snowshoes before walking out my door. I look forward to sharing these stories and more about the snow and painting afterwards in part 2 of the art residency adventure.